31 facts about Saint Rita of Cascia and how she died. Saint Rita of Cascia is one of the most venerated saints in the world, standing out not only for her deep faith, but also for the various roles she assumed throughout her life: daughter, wife, mother, widow, and finally, a consecrated religious. Her story is marked by extraordinary events and tests of faith that made her a symbol of hope and devotion. She was born in a difficult context, as her parents were already elderly, and she lived in a society where conflicts and vengeance were a part of daily life. Her religious vocation manifested from childhood, although fate first led her to marriage. But why did she marry if she wanted to dedicate herself to God? Is it true that a swarm of white bees entered and exited her mouth without harming her? How did she endure her husband's mistreatment? Why did she pray for the death of her children? How did she manage to enter monastic life? And finally, what led to her body being found incorrupt after her death? Join us in discovering these and many other answers about the life of Saint Rita of Cascia, the saint of impossible causes. 1. She died on the same day she was born. Saint Rita was born on May 22, 1381, and passed away on May 22, 1457, exactly on her 76th birthday. 2. She grew up in a socially turbulent environment. In medieval times, Cascia was a small independent republic with an advanced political structure. However, violence and conflicts were part of daily life. A legal code of vengeance allowed people to retaliate against murderers or their families, leading to prolonged feuds between different families. 3. A swarm of white bees surrounded her mouth as a baby. One of the most well-known stories from her childhood tells that while she was sleeping in a cradle in the field, a swarm of white bees began to enter and exit her mouth without harming her. This event was interpreted as a sign of the sweetness and holiness that would mark her life. 4. Her parents were known as peacemakers. Amidst the violence, there were people responsible for mediating between feuding families, known as peace judges or peacemakers. Saint Rita's parents took on this role with dedication, promoting reconciliation in their community. 5. Her parents had her in their old age. Antonio Lotti and Amata Ferri, her parents, were considered elderly for their time. For years they prayed to receive the gift of parenthood until Margarita, Saint Rita's birth name, was finally born. 6. She showed a religious vocation from childhood. From a young age, Saint Rita was inclined towards spiritual life. She spent long periods in prayer and often climbed a nearby hill to meditate. 7. She was forced to marry despite her desire to be a nun. When she reached the age for marriage, her parents arranged her wedding with Paolo Mancini, a man with a strong and violent temperament. Although Rita longed for monastic life, she obeyed her family's will. 8. Her husband mistreated her. Paolo Mancini was irritable, aggressive, and prone to conflicts. Saint Rita endured years of abuse with patience and prayer, hoping for his conversion. 9. She managed to transform her husband. After years of mistreatment, Paolo became a more peaceful man, influenced by his wife's devotion and kindness. 10. Her husband was murdered. Despite his change of heart, Paolo Mancini had enemies. One night, he was ambushed and stabbed to death, leaving Saint Rita a widow with 2 children. 11. Her sons were encouraged to seek vengeance. Paolo's relatives wanted Saint Rita's sons to take revenge for their father's death, instilling in them a sense of hatred. 12. Saint Rita prayed to God for her sons, fearing that her sons would commit acts of vengeance and lose their souls. Saint Rita pleaded with God to intervene in their lives. 13. Her sons died before they could take revenge. Both of her sons died from an illness before they could avenge their father's death, which Saint Rita considered a divine response to her prayers. 14. She tried to enter a convent but was rejected. After the death of her husband and children, Saint Rita sought to enter the Augustinian monastery in Cascia but was rejected several times due to her past as a wife and mother. 15. Her admission to the convent was a miracle. Tradition holds that Saint Rita was accepted into the convent after Saint John the Baptist, Saint Augustine, and Saint Nicholas of Tolentino miraculously interceded for her. 16. She was an example of humility and obedience. In the convent, Saint Rita took on the most difficult tasks with humility and never questioned the orders of her superiors. 17. She received a stigmata on her forehead. While praying before a crucifix, a thorn from Christ's crown pierced her forehead, leaving a painful wound for the rest of her life. 18. She endured the wound as a sacrifice. For years, her wound emitted an unpleasant odor, leading her to be isolated in a cell, which she accepted with resignation. 19. She experienced visions and mystical ecstasies. Several times she was seen in a state of ecstasy, with her face illuminated while she prayed. 20. She predicted her death. Days before passing away, she announced to her fellow sisters that her time was near. 21. Her last wish was a rose and a fig. She asked a relative to bring her a rose and a fig from her former garden, despite it being the middle of winter. Surprisingly, they were found fresh and in perfect condition. 2. Her cell was filled with light at the moment of her death. The nuns reported that when Saint Rita died, her room was illuminated with a heavenly light. 23. Her body was found. Incorrupt years after her death, her body remained intact, which was considered a miracle. 24. Her coffin emitted a floral aroma. The faithful claimed that her body exuded a fragrance similar to that of roses. 25. Numerous miracles were attributed to her. Since her passing, many people have claimed to receive favors after praying to Saint Rita. 26. She is the saint of impossible causes. Her intercession has been associated with desperate and difficult cases. 27. She was beatified in 1627. Pope Urban VIII approved her cult due to the miracles attributed to her. 28. She was canonized in 1900. Pope Leo XIII declared her a saint, recognizing her exemplary life. 29. Her feast day is celebrated on May 22nd. Each year, thousands of faithful visit her tomb to pay homage. 30. Her body rests in Cascia. Her remains are kept in the Basilica of Saint Rita in Italy. 31. She is one of the most venerated saints in the world. Thousands of people turn to her for help and comfort in difficult situations. If this video has inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. And of course, share your experiences in the comments. Together, we can build a strong and positive community. Thank you for joining us on this journey of growth and transformation. See you in the next video.